Morning, how are we? Or afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm back, Adam Duval, and no, this isn't Warriors of Attraction, but I feel refreshed. Not only just because I've had a shower, my hair looks like it's been peeing down all day. No, but it hasn't. It's glorious actually today. No, I went gym this morning, first time in over 10 years. So I feel really refreshed. And obviously got my peppermint tea next to me. But besides all of that, I've got an amazing guest. She's back, Karen McEwan, and we're going to be talking about how to understand lupus, like the signs of it and stuff like that, and how it's actually really underdiagnosed. So we'll be diving into that. So please share this in awareness, like, comment, subscribe, do what you need to do to keep up to date with the content. And we will see you in about 30 seconds. Welcome back to the show. Oh, Karen.
Morning.
How are you?
Not too bad at all. Not too bad at all.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, I don't know what it's like down, because you're south of England, aren't you?
Yeah, we're in beautiful Hampshire.
Yeah, what's the weather like there?
Yeah, stunning. It's actually beautiful spring weather. We've been very lucky the last few days.
Oh, yeah, we are. Well, it was raining here yesterday.
Red?
It was raining.
Raining? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it was raining yesterday, but we've got beautiful blue skies today.
Yeah, but if you have lupus, you have to stay out of the sun because one of the distinctive signs of lupus is you're photosensitive. So
right.
Yeah. So you have to wear big hats and long sleeves and avoid sort of rashes, and it also has a systemic effect on the system. So you have to be really careful if you have lupus to wear factor 50 and cover up. So I can look at it from outside, but I can't sort of wander around in it. I have to be very careful. In fact, I've got some, little rashes just because of the spring light. So just because it's got lighter, it can give people with lupus rashes and things.
Wow. I can imagine you sitting with a big hat on as well.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's a style statement because I wear these big hats, but it's not. It's because I've got lupus.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm quite happy that everybody thinks I just look elegant. I'm quite happy with that.
Hey, why not? Think outside the box. But anyway, yes, right. Understanding it. But instead of actually going straight into understanding it, how about we get to know you a little bit? I know for people that's not seen this before, just explain a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So basically, I used to be in finance. I spent 20 years in finance, and then I retrained as a counsellor and psychotherapist. But then in 2012, I fell spectacularly ill and I was hospitalised. And I nearly died from a top 2 percentile lupus flare. Unbeknownst to me, I had been wandering around for years with undiagnosed lupus. I basically narrowly avoided a liver transplant, but lost my spleen. And I ended up in a wheelchair and just weighing about 6.5 stone, completely incapacitated, needing constant care. And I had to fight my way back from that. And one of the things I found was that I felt completely unsupported and bewildered shortly after diagnosis. So, and they just gave me a little leaflet, little 4-page leaflet to tell me what to do. And now what I do is I support people and help people all around the world virtually about lupus, having spent the last 10 years researching it and helping other people.
Yeah. For people that's not heard of it, what is lupus?
So lupus is an autoimmune disease. It's where the naturally healthy immune system in the body, which fights off viruses and bacteria, goes into overdrive, and it overreacts, and it actually damages healthy cells and causes disruption through the body.
Well, there you go.
But it's currently incurable, but you can have mild, moderate, and severe forms, and it can also fluctuate throughout your life. Effectively, you can have flares, you can have periods of remission.
Yeah.
It can go into remission, and you can quieten down symptoms, and you can manage symptoms. There's a huge amount that you can do, but it is currently incurable.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of stigma surrounding that, isn't there? Because people seem to think it is curable.
You're absolutely right. There's an awful lot of people, I think, even though it's
Stereotypes.
What was that?
These stereotypes, they're saying it's curable.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I think there's a lack of understanding about how severe lupus can be. I think some people just think it's a bit of tiredness or a little bit of aches and pains. And I definitely have clients who've been told, by friends and family that if they just put a little bit more effort in, or they could snap out of it and things like that, when in fact it actually damages the internal organs. So you can, it's very, very serious. Lung involvement, kidney involvement, liver involvement are very common, and you need to get on top of it, and you need to take the right medication in order to prevent the disease progressing.
Exactly. What if someone's living with lupus and they're against taking medication? Like, for example, is there alternatives? For example, essential oils or anything?
I'm a huge believer in a holistic approach to lupus. Right. I promote that with my clients, that effectively they have the very best of medical care, they have the very best of alternative care, and that includes everything from reflexologists to acupuncturists who know what they're doing, and that's a key point. And then there is a huge amount that can be done with diet. There's all kinds of triggers in foods, and there's certain foods that people with lupus can't take, etc. So there's a huge amount you can do with diet. And then there's all the beneficial things like relaxation. I promote mindfulness, breath work, relaxation exercises, massage, reflexology, Reiki, essential oils and aromatherapy. Huge fan. You really, because it's a total body, it affects you completely, lupus, mentally, physically. I think the more comprehensive you go for it, the better. Exactly.
I totally agree. And if people's got any questions, feel free.
Yeah. One thing I would say is that it is important to get it diagnosed and to get the right medication for it, because the medication looks after you long term. So it's unless it's a very mild form of lupus, it is a dangerous disease, and you do need to treat it seriously. So I think you would also, if you've got moderate to severe lupus, you're going to have great difficulties just treating it with herbs and with diet. You are going to be too tired and in too much pain and too much danger of having your organs damaged.
Wow.
Yes, it's not a walk in the park.
No. Well, what is? What is?
Good point.
Exactly.
Good point.
So, how can we? I think we mentioned this last time, but GPs are obviously their first protocol. Why do they not understand it?
Well, this is the slight problem with lupus, which is that there are supposed to be about 16,000 people a year diagnosed in the US alone, and there's about 1.5 million people in the US who've got lupus, but there's about supposedly 5 million people worldwide. But the reality is that it's probably about 50% underdiagnosed.
Yeah.
So they found that something like one study said that 41% of people had been diagnosed with something completely different before they eventually went on to be correctly diagnosed with lupus. And in another study, 54% of people were told that there was nothing wrong with them, or that it was a psychological issue, before they eventually went on to get diagnosed with lupus. So that is the ballpark. There is endemic under and misdiagnosis of lupus. So it's one of the reasons why it's superb that you're doing a program like this, Adam, because it's just really, really good to keep raising awareness of it and keeping, raising it on the profile. I mean, far more people have lupus than muscular dystrophy and multiple sclerosis, but I think the profiles are different.
Oh, of course they are.
And I think what you picked up at the beginning, which is people can somehow be more dismissive of lupus, whereas they wouldn't dream of being dismissive of MS, for example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's massively underdiagnosed. So the first thing is to raise awareness of that. Now, the reason why it's complicated to diagnose is there are a whole load of symptoms, which you have to have. There are 11 official symptoms, and you're supposed to have about 4 of them in order to get it. But that includes some complex blood tests.
Okay.
So it can be a bit of a jigsaw puzzle to put it together. And it really needs a specialist team in many, many cases. But unfortunately, quite a lot of people spend time complaining perhaps at the GP level or at the minor mixed, consultancy level, who don't have the specific familiarity with the key indicators for lupus.
Exactly.
So there are about, I think it's 5 centres of excellence within the UK that you can go to specifically for lupus and get it diagnosed. So, for example, I was diagnosed by the world famous London Lupus Centre.
Right. Yeah, because there need to be more centres into the UK, don't there?
Well, it's not. I think you're completely right. It's at the initial level, if you like. It's at that recognition level. So, for example, even though there are 11 symptoms, there are 1 or 2 that are absolute hallmarks of it. So, swollen, painful joints plus strange rashes is really quite a lupus marker.
Yeah.
And the photosensitivity, and there's strange things like ulcers, oral ulcers, lots of them, and that can be hallmark. They had Kelly Bryan on Loose Women. Do you know this, the singer from Eternal? And she'd had very severe lupus, had a very severe lupus flare, and she was talking about it. One thing she mentioned was that she got a mouthful of ulcers.
Why I mentioned about centres, because obviously where I am, I'm seeing a lot of centres that specialises in chronic pain or muscular problems or old sports injuries, but nothing to do with lupus.
No, and that's one of the hallmarks of the disease is the pain. I mean, it is phenomenally painful. Most people live with constant chronic pain with lupus. And for example, there was a lady who was a member of the armed forces, so no pushover, and certainly a strong and together lady, and she ended up in A&E, and they thought she had meningitis because she was in so much pain and she had strange rashes, but she actually had lupus. But she'd spent about 2-3 years turning up to the GP and complaining about pain or fatigue or, you know, swollen joints, etc. And they just haven't necessarily put the two together.
Yeah. See, I'm not saying I've got lupus, but I've got really bad backache, which is an old sports injury because it only started when I left college. But yeah, but people need to look out for these signs.
They do. It's just nice to just be aware, just to put it on people's radar and say, well, look, have you thought about this? Just to sort of say, you know, it could be this, rather than people, mostly women, of course, because sort of 80 to 90% of people who have lupus are women of childbearing age. They often get dismissed with it's depression or stress, and that sort of thing. And also I get a suggestion that also that people underestimate female pain sometimes, whereas I think that pain, women are quite good at coping with pain, but I sometimes get the impression that people think that women don't manage pain as well, and therefore they downgrade it, when in fact actually people can be in very, very severe pain.
I believe when women are in pain, they're warriors.
They're warriors.
Yeah, especially dealing with childbirth as well. So yeah.
So exactly. I think women are very, very good with pain, and you know, very often they will wander around with quite a high level of pain with lupus, which is detrimental to their physical as well as their mental health.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. So it's all about acceptance then and understanding.
Yeah, and exactly that it is a possibility that it might be that, and just to consider it and to pursue the options. But I think a lot of people come to me with quite traumatic diagnostic journeys. The average time for diagnosis is 6.7 years. Yeah, the best part.
7 years old.
Taking the best part of 7 years in order to get a correct diagnosis. So you can imagine the level of that people feel frustrated, they feel disbelieved. That's one of the key things. They don't feel supported, and they often feel really, really guilty. There's a lot of guilt because they're often incredibly busy people who are trying their level best, but they know that they're physically in trouble and they can't cope, and they're desperately trying to find an answer. They know it's not them, and they're constantly being told, no, you know, it's in your head, or it can't be that bad, or it's something else, etc., etc. And this can go on for a very, very long time. So I've actually had people with PTSD, a sort of form of trauma, after very, very difficult journeys where they have been disbelieved by doctor after doctor.
Exactly. This is why I don't go to the doctor anymore. But that's not telling people stop going to the doctors.
No. But you see, you can get some fantastic doctors once you're in the light loop. And one of the things that I always say is, don't hesitate to get a second opinion. Just because if somebody tells you that, you know, you haven't got something, but you know damn fine that you know that it's not right, that you're not okay, and you otherwise a tremendously together, you know, hardworking, achieving person, then is to get a second opinion. Don't give up, basically.
And that's our motto, #never quit.
Yeah. #never quit. Exactly. Because most people know their own body. They know something's wrong. I mean, I remember waking up and thinking I felt a bit old. I remember thinking I got up in the
morning. You're not old.
Thank you. I'll take that. And literally thinking, God, I feel really creaky and whatever. So it was obviously the lupus affecting my joints before, and I mean, it had been steadily destroying my liver as well before I realized, you know, what was going on. or rather my doctors did, you know.
Exactly.
And I've had some great doctors. Can I say my GP has just been fantastic. He happened to be, funnily enough, he happened to be a pain specialist. So he was really, really good about understanding the pain and being supportive of that. I've had a wonderful rheumatologist and neurologist, but sometimes you just have to keep going. If somebody, you know, tells you that you're making it up and you've got it all wrong, then don't hesitate to try again.
Do you know, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because obviously when I was in the gym this morning, I was listening to this motivational video, and it was basically saying, so what if you're depressed? So what if you're down? If you're down, then you're going to struggle to get back up again. So stop feeling down, because I believe everything's a choice. And if you're down, just get back up. Make that choice.
Yeah, I do a lot of training on that, because I think a lot of people feel very guilty when they're chronically ill. Yeah. They feel that they should be doing this, that, and the other, and they can't do it. They're very bad at asking for help, and women in particular can be very, very bad at asking for help.
Would you not say women are just too stubborn to ask for help? Because I know I am.
Yeah, I think stubborn. I think that thing of I can manage, I can do it, I'll find a way. And I can tell you that doesn't work with lupus.
I know.
You are so much better to get help and talk to somebody who knows what it's like, etc. And then they can turn around to you and say, why are you beating yourself up? Lupus is already beating you up. Why are you beating yourself up as well?
Exactly. So what have you been doing to raise awareness, or shall I say raise acceptance of this?
Well, I mean, I used to do a lot of lupus telephone counselling, basically primarily based in the UK. But obviously when the pandemic struck, I was clinically extremely vulnerable. I got a phone call from my GP when the pandemic first hit, asking me if I wanted to be resuscitated if I got lupus. Basically, the assumption was if I got lupus, I was, in big trouble. And I remember on the phone sort of negotiating and saying, no, actually, I'm a responsible, I have responsibilities. I'm a good person. Please revive me. Yeah. So very serious. So I took the opportunity to take my business onto the, internet even more. I had a website, etc. And I now do everything this way via video. And do things around the world, basically in the US and everything. So that's been very beneficial to me, and I love it. I can stay here in Leafy, Hampshire, and if I have my legs are bad, then I can still work, and I can still talk to people.
Exactly, and I'm proud of you for doing what you're doing. And I can just imagine now you on the streets with a megaphone campaigning about this, loads of banners, loads of people around. Let's do it.
My book, the book that I wrote in 2019, that's a calling card for me, because it's in Amazon, it's 5-star rated on Amazon, and it's very much an emergency handbook for lupus. It's got all the basics in it, all the things that I wished that I knew, 1 week after diagnosis, basically. And it basically says, expect this, expect that, this is how you're going to feel. These are the things you can do. It's got all the basic things in it. And that helps. I think that helps my credibility with people as well. And the fact that I still, I live with the disease and I've experienced very severe lupus. I think also my clients don't feel that I'm talking down to them, because they're so used to doctors or other people telling them how they feel. when actually they don't necessarily know. That's really important, I think.
Exactly. So what's next for Miss McEwan?
Oh, well, I'm just expanding my private practice. I'm just treating people one-on-one still, and I really enjoy that. And I guess when I'm absolutely full up and I can't do any more one-on-one, I shall do more group work over the internet. But as I said to you, I think I'm just currently moving house, so I'm trying to juggle clients and research and keeping up with everything, because keeping up with everything is a good thing. I mean, I have a Facebook page and I'm in all the forums and everything, and I keep up with all the latest trials from my own point of view as well, because I'd love to know when there's a new drug coming out for lupus, etc., or new discoveries.
Exactly.
No,
go on.
I was going to say I was quite hopeful that some of the research into long COVID, would actually have some beneficial things for lupus, because again, it's an overreaction of the immune system.
Exactly. So where can people find you?
So, well, I'm very easy. I'm on Google, so you can just Google me and my website's there. But you can literally just message me on Facebook. That's the one of the best ways to do it. But I've got an email on my website, and that's the way. But I do a huge amount just through Facebook, less through LinkedIn. And get in touch with people that way, or people get in touch with me. I get strange questions. I had one yesterday from somebody in the States saying, "Karen, what about lupus and turmeric?" So you just get a question out of nowhere.
What was your response to that?
Well, yeah, turmeric, you see, is supposed to be good for inflammation. It's often recommended for arthritis. So it's used as a tea normally. So it's a beneficial tea. It certainly doesn't do any harm. But I don't think for most people who've got lupus, it does a huge amount. You know what I mean? It's a nice thing to have within the mix. I would think there were other vitamins and minerals that were more important, but it's certainly good. There's ginger is also really good, ginger tea and lemon tea and things like that. So yeah,
well, I've actually got herbal tea in my obviously my cup, but I've got it in the kitchen as well, and I've actually got turmeric.
Yes.
So
won't do your back any harm. If you've got painful back, for example, it's probably a little bit of help on the inflammation there.
But I highly recommend people, if you want to drink turmeric, herbal turmeric, don't have Brussels sprouts with it.
Why not? Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah, because turmeric helps with indigestion. Yeah.
Okay.
Sprouts caused that.
Okay. Well, I didn't tell my client that. I wasn't able to tell her that. But
I made that mistake of having turmeric drink and then sprouts, and then the next morning I was in pain.
There's an additional benefit.
Exactly. So I highly recommend don't do it.
Yeah, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
Right. Well, thanks for coming on, Karen, as usual. You've been a star.
My pleasure. My absolute pleasure. Thank you for continuing to help us raise awareness of it, Adam.
You're most welcome. Very helpful. Yeah, and obviously a bit of housekeeping. This ain't the only live. We've got Dale Walsh tonight, 8 p.m. He's got Annette Chiappe from the States. So America's taken over the Warriors. So keep in touch with that one, and we'll see you again. See you in a bit.
Yeah, you take